Good morning everyone. I am Suman Sourav Mohanty, AIR rank 9 last year. Today we are here to discuss about general studies paper and what is the importance of answer writing probably. I will be giving you some brief insights into how did I do the answer writing and discuss some papers of this year's GS toppers and who have done really well for your clarity and for helpful in further exams. UPSC has changed dynamically and drastically in the past few years. The questions which are coming, although current affairs related, are not direct questions. Indirectly, they are testing whether you have that clarity, you have that reflexes to answer 20 questions in 3 hours, objectivity of your answers, and finally and obviously whether it is relevant or not. The questions are long, like it's a 4-sentence question, 3 sentences question where you have to connect various subparts and give a logical and clear answer. I have listed down some do's and don'ts, what to do in a typical answer. What to do? You have to respond to the context of the question. What is the question asked? Does it ask about failures of the system? Does it ask about the way forward? Does it ask about a brief analysis? This is all mentioned in the question, but sometimes due to our ignorance we are not able to do that and it backfires on us. Facts, figures, relevant. How do you back up your questions or your answer? Suppose you are quoting that no, India is not suitable for dry land agriculture. You need to back it up with some facts and figures as to why you feel that it doesn't do. Brief and concise answers. There is no point going round and round and writing more when actually the time is less and you will get only say per se 5 or 6 marks. You need to do risk sharing. That is 20 answers should be optimum so that your marks are the greatest. Back up with evidence. Again, as I told about facts and figures, suppose you are telling that no, there is no confrontation between the judiciary and the government. I will be discussing a subsequent question related to it. If you are telling that there is no confrontation, you will have to cite past case studies. You will have to cite the case of say 1975 when emergency was in full force. You will have to back it up with certain caselets, case studies, etc. so that the examiner is convinced that he has told his statement not from the point of view that he just knows it, he has a logical angle to it. Diagrams if necessary. Many times you have this tendency to attract the examiner attention. We just put in a diagrams just for the heck of it, but actually whether it is relevant, whether your diagram is making a substantial point or not, that needs to be seen. Subheadings, obviously when the question is long and contextual, so you will have to break it up so that you are able to maintain that control over the question. I will be discussing some examples. For that control, sometimes we tend to lose control because we do not write in subheadings forms. That is very important. Again, subheadings and control over content. Time management. I had this strategy that I will not spend more than 9 minutes on any particular question at all. If it is done within 9 minutes, obviously well and good, but if it exceeds 9 minutes, that means I am compromising on some other question. How to do? You will have to develop reflexes. Reflexes means that you do not have that luxury of time to think over an answer. Thinking over an answer means 1.5 minutes. You will have to start writing from the word go. So over a sustained period of practice of answer writing with somehow these structures ingrained, you will be able to have that command. It's just like net practice of a batsman. You will have to react to the merit of the ball or merit of the question immediately. You do not have time, otherwise you are just out. Content addition. How do you revise? Content addition means, suppose if there is a question on water tribunals, there might have been many developments over past 3 or 4 months, obviously. So how do you put in that content? How do you remember that content? How do you finally bring it to your answer? That is very important. Revision. It's a very simple word, but many a time students just do not understand the meaning of it or do not understand the importance. The more you revise, the more content you develop and more structured and fine your answers will be. But suppose if you do not revise and you have done a very detailed and methodological study, that content obviously won't come to your answer paper. That is very bad. Test series and practice. The more you practice, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. That is my funda. The more you practice these things with this structured way, you must understand what are the ingredients of a good answer, how to go about it and how to develop and practice it so that each of your 20 answers are as good as anyone else. What not to do? Bluffing. Do not bluff if you do not know the answer to a question. Very important. The examiner will have a very bad view and probably it will reflect in his markings of your other answers. Excess show of knowledge. If you have lot of content for a particular thing, if you have done Water Tribunal Act, or suppose if you have done something on the judiciary, but the question is only of 10 marks, so do not show your excess knowledge and compromise on other answers. Relevant facts, examples and figures. Sometimes we have this tendency because we have to write some facts and figures or relevant examples we put in, but whether it is relevant to the question or not, please check that. If it is not relevant, do not put it. It will irritate the examiner. Leaving questions due to paucity of time. This is a very big crime from point of view of UPSC. If you are leaving questions, you are just decreasing your rank by say around 20 to 30 ranks you are decreasing each question. Each question has, if you get at least 2 to 3 marks, it has a massive impact on your final score and rankings. So please do that time management so that you do not leave any questions finally. Now I will be discussing some questions written by this year's GS toppers. Obviously, this year GS has been quite good, marks have been higher, but again ethics has been on the lower side. So first I will go for Dipanshu. The question is, what is the extent of parallel economy in India as per various unofficial estimates? Why government of India has not been able to curb the flow of black money in India, let alone its recovery? Again, this is a classic UPSC question, pure in UPSC format. First, what is the extent of parallel economy in India? One break, subheadings we break. First we explain what is the parallel economy. What is the extent? We quote some figures, unofficial estimates, but we have to quote figures here. Figures here carry marks. Why government of India has not been able to curb the flow of black money in India? Third subbit, let alone its recovery. So what are the positive steps which you can take? He has done a beautiful work. He has done 40% of GDP. He has put in that figure. Parallel economy, he has given the definition. He has given the reasons: lack of political will, lack of strict implementation of laws, traditional and old age financial management system, role of neighbors. Our geographical neighbors are such that they want to increase the parallel economy so that the illicit activities are conducted, and a lot of drugs, narcotics, illegal arms, etc. are financed by this, along with trafficking, of course. Illiteracy. Then he has given the solution. Steps by government, why government has not been able to do it, finally the solution. So this is a classical case of a good UPSC answer which has been answered in all the relevant aspects of the question. Then I go to a science and technology question. It has again been done by Dipanshu. Recently ISRO has successfully tested scramjet engine. What is the significance of this technology for India? Discuss persisting challenge in its adoption. Again, role of ISRO, 2 lines since the start of probably inception of ISRO. How it has helped us in getting leverage in the space and communication world. Soft power, he has mentioned that. How it has saved precious foreign exchange and how we have raised aside. Disaster management, role of ISRO. Scramjet engine, features. Again he has gone for significance of this technology for India. We will be able to send our own space satellites, we will be able to travel farther distances. Again, soft power, we can transfer this technology to other nations. How much it has saved on our precious crucial foreign exchange. Challenges in its adoption. Again, he has listed those challenges very beautifully. It is about, it has been full weight ability, it has never been tested. Higher temperature mixing of gases. This is a science and technology, and just see the simplicity with which he has written this answer, that if a person who has probably no background idea about scramjet engine or he has no idea about technology, he can easily answer this or understand this and give him very good marks. Then scramjet engine, lower layers only, he has given very good answer, and he has also given the solutions to the above challenges. So this is a complete UPSC answer from the point of view of the examiner, and he will very easily give you say around 6 or 5.5 or the highest mark possible, or 7 probably in this question. Then we go to essay. Essay again, it has been done by Abhishek Surana, the 10th rank holder this time. He has, first of all the question is, health is not valued until sickness comes. he has given a pure and nice perspective on this question. He has talked about health, importance of health from centuries point of view, how health has been viewed in Indian system, globally how health has been viewed, industrial evolution. Now he has talked about multifaceted applications of health. He has talked about the political aspects of health. Why some countries like Bhutan, they spend a huge percentage of their GDP on healthcare, why a country like India doesn't do it. He has talked about economic aspects of health, social aspects of health. He has talked about geographical diversity of health, how health profile also varies according to geography. Cost of healthcare in India, why it is rising up. He has quoted NFHS figures. He has also quoted the present context of health, how important it is, non-communicable diseases. He has quoted everything. Finally, he has come to the solution aspect of health. This is very important in terms of, and why he has been able to do it, because he has given a structure, a particular structure that this is how I will write this essay. He has jotted down the points, he has developed them, and finally he has come to a very fine and logical conclusion regarding health is not valued until sickness comes. He has talked about emotional intelligence regarding health. He has put in the impact of fourth industrial revolution, latest technologies on the impact of health. That is why this essay is a very good essay, and it has also got him good marks in the final exam. Then we come to another rank holder, this time Jyoti Sharma. It is a very good question. It is part of geography, disaster management, and this is a very unconventional question which actually UPSC also asks in various exams. Elephant-human conflict is one of the most challenging issues in conservation of heritage animal of India. What are the various reasons of elephant-human conflict? What needs to be done in resolving these conflicts? Normally this is an out-of-box question which UPSC asks just to stupefy or probably give a challenge to the person. So elephant-human conflict, we have to remember what are the recent cases. There has been cases in Odisha where an elephant and her calf were hit by a train and they died, and it had created a furor. Elephant-human conflict in MP, recently also it has come. You will have to put in that perspective. Why elephant-human conflict occurs? Obviously, deforestation, lack of appreciation of urban planners, etc. in marking their traditional routes. For example, in Odisha recently, there was a forest and it has been covered into an urban building. Obviously, the elephant does not, they are very sharp in memory. When they come through that exact forest, they see that it has been converted to a building. What do? That is why elephant-human conflict is much there. There are no dedicated elephant corridors. This is an apathy by the forest officials as well as bureaucrats. There should be dedicated corridors for them, adequate food provision, etc. Then, obviously, infrastructure projects going from elephant corridors. So, then he has come to the solution aspect. What are the solutions of this? Development of elephant corridors, sensitizing local population that no, let us be kind and nice to them. Bureaucratic proactiveness in checking. We can have GPS systems. He has put the role of technology. GPS systems which can sense that an elephant herd wherever it is moving about, and obviously we can then take care of that. Probably a train line or a train corridor which is going through an elephant corridor needs to be removed. So somehow we need to understand, first of all, sensitize ourselves about the importance of elements and other wildlife in our ecosystem and develop plans and projects accordingly. So again, this is a out-of-box question by UPSC, and obviously it has been dealt very well by this person and it will give him good marks. Again, we come to history. History again, it is a very, this question is a very brilliant question. It has never been asked probably in UPSC. I do not know about this year's question. But this is a very important question and there is a lot of nitty-gritties. Examine the circumstances leading to the formation of Nehru report. Also critically examine the features of Nehru report. Explain what was the response of the Muslim League to the Nehru report. Again, typical UPSC question where 4 or 5 sub-questions have been asked in one question. Describe the circumstances leading to the formulation of Nehru report. What was Nehru report? Describe the circumstances. 2 questions. Critically examine the features of Nehru report. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? 4 questions. Explain what was the response of the Muslim League to the Nehru report. 5th question. So, first of all, he has given the background. What was the Nehru report? What background was, Simon Commission was appointed to inquire about further reforms in Indian political system. It was a 7-member all-white commission. Therefore, in reaction to that, Lord Birkenhead, he had challenged Indian parties to come together and form a constitution. He has given the genesis of Indian constitution system probably lied in this Nehru report. Our constitution was somehow developed and drafted in line with this. Universal adult franchise, dominion status, fundamental rights, etc. Then he has critically examined, he has given the negatives of this Nehru report also. Because it was dominion status, it did not push for complete independence, which was opposed by younger generations such as Jawaharlal Nehru, Patel, etc. So, finally, Ambedkar opposes because it did not give representation to Dalits, Hindu Mahasabha, etc. because it was too many rights to minorities, the communal aspect of this report. However, and then there was the reaction of Muslim League, which was about separate electorates to minorities. Therefore, this again, if you see, I listed out 5 points of the sub-question, 5 points has been met. Obviously, then examiner will give a 6.5 to this question. And in context of history, these are very simple things. We read Nehru report, but we never analyze or read that from this many points of view. This is also an important thing, that how to read history also. We somehow think that history is all about mugging up and vomiting in the paper. No, it has to be analytical as well. And these are all mentioned in the books, but somehow we forget. So, again I go to my previous point. The more we go for test series practice, the more, this is circular theory. The more we go for content addition. Suppose if you are seeing a question like this, we start thinking in a way so that the next time we read about Nehru report, we obviously want to remember these parameters. So test series practice actually gives you to again develop reflexes, content addition, revision, then again test series practice. So this is actually a circular causation theory. So therefore we need to practice as much as possible. Then we come to international relations. Again, international relations is a very complex topic because sometimes there have been very unconventional questions from UPSC side like McBride Commission, etc. And sometimes it needs a careful understanding of the international context along with correlating facts. Suppose if they are asking about economic significance of CPEC or significance of CPEC, you will obviously have to correlate from a number of sources. That is why IR is a very interesting, I will not say exactly tough, but yes, you will have to correlate a lot of facts and figures from different sources to give a concise and clear answer. So there have been concerns regarding, we will discuss a question again, it is by Jyoti Sharma, this year rank 75. There have been concerns regarding increasing Chinese influence in Indian Ocean and strategic encirclement of India. Examine what options do India has a counter strategy. Again, this is a typical UPSC question where they have asked a simple question, but it has a lot of underlying layers to it. There have been concerns regarding increasing Chinese influence in the Indian Ocean. Concerns. What are those concerns about Chinese influence? Strategic Indian Ocean. We will have to talk about Indian Ocean. Then we will have to talk about strategic encirclement of India. That is not only, it is not only confined to the Indian Ocean, it is about land, air and sea. What options do India has as a counter strategy? What can India do? So first of all, India, he has drawn a map where he has put about Gwadar port, Bangladesh port, CPEC and Hambantota. He has talked about Indian Ocean. How Indian Ocean has been encircling from all the sides, how Chinese influence has been done. What is the Chinese influence in terms of it has stationed its troops around, it has gone for strategic defense of these ports, so presence of military. Second, it wants to protect its own routes, oil and sea routes from outside influence. Third, it has put in its own effort in putting more goods of its own origin through these markets. It has gone for market capture. He has put in all this. Then he has so he has put in about, he has written about Gwadar port, he has written about Hambantota port, he has written about CPEC initiative, he has written about Bangladesh port. Then he has put options. What are the solutions to this problem? Engaging Indian Ocean region. He has also put in about neighborhood first policy, how India needs to be proactive instead of being reactive in these matters. Okay, so one belt, one route, we have our own Mawsam project, how we can do it, and building better infrastructure and strengthening our navy first. So this again is a good example of how to write an IR answer. We are putting IR, somehow I think maps are necessary because it brings about more conceptual clarity to you and the examiner. Suppose if in a map you are doing it and you are forgetting Gwadarport, obviously you can put it there. Second, it has listed out very strategically what are China's issues in this, what is our solution, and finally it has come to the answer. Again, Jyoti Sharma, Indian economy and agriculture, this is a very relevant question. Obviously, since demonetization, we have been in recent economic space, there has been a spurt in digitization. Can digitization help in bringing inclusive growth in India? What steps should be taken to realize the goal of inclusive growth in India? Again, 5 questions if you see from this single question. In recent, there has been a spurt in digitization. We will have to talk about demonetization. We will have to talk about why there has been spurt in digitization with examples. Can digitization help in bringing inclusive growth? What is inclusive growth? Can digitization help that? Backed with evidence. What steps should be taken to realize the goal of inclusive growth in digital economy? Inclusive growth, digital economy, what steps should be taken? 7 sub-bit question in 1 question. Brilliant question from UPSC point of view. UPSC all tries to ask this question, and in I think in our discussions when I was there in Lavasana, etc., we always had this view that how to go about an answer in which there are so many sub-bits, and almost all of us concurred that these are the basic points, basic premises where if we write an answer keeping these in mind, obviously it has to be a good question. He has given the definition of digitization, he has given the definition of digital economy, he has given the definition of inclusive growth. 3 marks obviously for these definitions only. Advantages of recent, there has been a spurt in digitization. He has talked about demonetization. He has talked about subsequent initiatives by the government to promote digital payments, digitization. What are the advantages? It is about bringing in more clarity, increasing the tax base, decreasing corruption, bringing more money to the people, preventing leakages, empowerment. He has written about everything. Then, how does it bring about bringing inclusive growth? He has quoted from the economic survey about last mile service delivery, last mile banking transaction. He has given the example of Kenya as well as Bangladesh model of digital payments. Then, what steps should be taken to realize the goal of inclusive growth in digital economy? He has also written about that. So basically, he has covered all the points very beautifully in this single answer. And obviously, when you write such an answer, the examiner cannot help but give you less than 6, 6.5, that is around 50%. Then we come to ethics by Abhishek Surana. Again, he is a 10th ranker this year. Obviously, ethics has been, has been very random as well as very fluctuating over the years, but somehow this is a good answer, so I would recommend that you see it. It is a case study basically. A cabinet minister sends a DO letter to you regarding posting of an official on a supposedly lucrative assignment, for which you have already decided about the name of a more competent officer with a good track record of honesty, integrity, probity and timely delivery. What will you do? Again, it is a question of ethical competence basically. He has put in, first of all, when you are writing ethics answers, it's a very important thing that we put in the ethical dilemmas involved. I think I had this strategy, that is why probably I got very good marks in ethics. I think I got around 116 or 17 odd. You must write the point of view from ethical point of view should be your answer. In case studies, I had this very good strategy. First of all, what I used to do is write down ethical dilemmas and premises. What are the ethical dilemmas? Second, quote a philosopher or his theory regarding that particular ethical dilemma. Finally, give solid evidence to back up my answer. So what he has done, he has the situation demands ethical competence. He will apprise his superior boss of the letters from ministers and request him to take up the matter. He will also draft a reply to the minister, okay, because he has to respond to his hierarchical command as well as he will draft a letter to the minister. If I would be writing this answer further, I will be quoting somewhere from Buddhism where Buddha talks about taking the middle path, neither following the extremes. The competent officer's case needs to be recognized and he must be given a chance to prove his honesty and integrity. Objectivity and impartiality needs to be ensured. I will probably, since the minister is my higher authority, turning down the message or just not replying to him will be about breaking that chain of command. I'll reply to him obviously, and it is worth a risk taking because it will also give an idea about the minister that I am a person who will probably not break my ethical ground and value system just in order to please him. So, but at the same time I am respecting his position as the political authority and I am accepting his case, but I am turning it down citing solid evidence. And obviously with Buddha's middle path we cannot go on the extremities. Same also about Aristotle Golden's mean. So that is why we have this is a model answer from an ethical point of view. Again another question which is related to ethics, it has been written by Himanshu Kaushik. This year's rank 77. This is about Indian society and governance, but obviously with the ethical twinge to it. Mass molestation incident in Bengaluru has brought back the focus once again on women's safety as well as public consciousness, especially in urban areas. What are the various reasons which failed women's safety? Discuss role of various stakeholders in creating an environment for women's safety, her dignity and rights. Typical UPSC question, 6-7 subpoints. Mass molestation, what it is, crowd psychology, Bengaluru, we'll have to quote about it. What are the issues on women's safety, regarding it? What are the various reasons why women's safety has failed? The role of various stakeholders and what stakeholders? Stakeholders means the society, her parents, everything. We'll have to. It's a multidimensional question which requires a multidimensional answer, of course. Then he has written about mass molestation. He has taught about patriarchy. He has talked about overburdened judiciary, lack of women police force on the streets, corruption in policing duty, obviously. Lack of moral and value system in Indian youth, etc. Low sex ratio, family as an institution, objectification of women. He has covered all these points. He has told about the various stakeholders. It is about the education system. It is about the political, bureaucratic, policing system. It is about the society as a whole, which needs to understand the importance of women. Then he has put in a lot of solutions in terms of various acts, increasing the police force, increasing self-defense techniques to women, giving more importance to use of technology, night-time CCTV cameras on all such roads, etc. And most important, faster dispensation of justice in case of molestation cases. Therefore, again, this is a very good answer in terms of GS answer rating, where it is crisp, concise, and all the relevant facts have been meted out. This is a good question from a good answer from again Himanshu Kaushik. It is about FRBM Act. FRBM Act was introduced to bring transparency in fiscal management system in the country and fiscal stability in long term. Critically analyze the success of FRBM Act and suggest the necessary reforms in the law to make it more suitable to India. Obviously, this is a very good question because it talks about FRBM Act. We'll have to tell about the plus and minuses, how it has brought in transparency in fiscal management system, how we can talk about coalition governments which used to do fiscal profligacy and thereby increasing the debt burden. We can quote the examples of West Bengal and Punjab, where debt burden has become so much that for every rupee the state government is earning, it is giving 55 paisa as interest, thereby leaving very less money for development of the economy in the longer term. How fiscal profligacy actually impacts the functioning of the government. There is no fund for development, all your money is going down in interest, there is dissatisfaction of the people, inflation is rising, we have to coordinate all that. Then we will have to write about, these are very briefly we have to write, then we will have to write about fiscal, what is the function, what are the features of FRBM Act, what are the targets it had, it is about 3% of say GDP of restricting the fiscal deficit, what were the timelines involved and why it has not been fulfilled. Because basically in 2008 we had a financial crisis which needed the government to push back, to plow in more money to the system. Therefore, FRBM Act has not been successful, but obviously in the long run, in view of multilateral agencies, we have to write about in case of globalization, how interconnected financial systems of the countries are. Therefore, FRBM Act is very important in terms of getting more transparency, more accountability from the government. Spending cannot be on populist measures only, it has to be directed towards getting in more revenue for the buck spent Second, it has to be for the all-round development of the people. He has put in all these figures and all these facts in this question. Obviously, he deserves to get very good marks in this question. Then we go to again a question by Kumari Sunita, who is also a top ranker this year, about ethics, integrity and aptitude. The question is, what do you mean by trustworthiness? How can EI generate trustworthiness in oneself and that of others in you? This is very important, because if you are not trustful as a civil servant, you cannot trust your juniors, you cannot trust your seniors on their word. If your senior asks you to do something, if you are not having that trustworthy nature in him, or he doesn't have in you, obviously that work won't be done. If you are not having trust in your subordinates and you just think that they will not deliver the thing, and you go about on a punitive measure, obviously that sends a very wrong signal and a very critical message that no, this boss is not to be trusted. Vice versa. Again, she has written a very good answer. She has talked about trustworthiness, she has discussed this. Then she has put about Nolan emotional intelligence. She has tried connecting trustworthiness with emotional intelligence. How emotional intelligence it is about self-awareness, self-regulation, etc. and how it helps in bringing about more trustworthiness. Then what are the steps followed? How can EI generate trustworthiness? He can tell about, she is telling about leader-follower relation. Leader must give that confidence, nurture the young bureaucrat or young officers, and thereby, even if they fail, probably hold their hand, and that brings about a sense of trustworthiness and responsibility in the bureaucrat or in the young officers. So again, this is a question in ethics which has been to the point, concise, and obviously it has come to the right perspective. The perspective is right, the context is right. She has written it from an ethical point of view. She has talked about emotional intelligence, etc. Hence, this obviously would get her good marks. The final question which I will discuss about is again General Studies paper 2. She is the highest mark getter this time, Kumari Sunita. This actually, even when we used to be with our friends in our academy, we used to discuss about how to write about a model answer in GS2. GS2 is not very complex. What people forget is that there needs to be a constitutional perspective to it. You need to be very thorough with constitutional articles and laws and case studies in order to write a good question about GS2. This is a question I would like to speak about. Indian Constitution presents India as a compromise between British sovereignty of Parliament and American judicial supremacy. What are the arguments for and against the statement? Elaborate with examples. This is a very brilliant and nice question which probably would flummox you, but trust me, it is very simple. First of all, you will have to tell about the evolution of the Constitution. How Indian Constitution has evolved through the years, which she has done. British sovereignty of Parliament, it is again about the conflict between due process of law, procedure established by law, and Supreme Court judgments like A.K. Gopal and other judgments. We will have to quote that. She has quoted the exact thing. What are the arguments for and against the statement? Elaborate with examples. Arguments for why Parliament should be supreme. She has quoted those examples. Why Parliament should not be supreme. She has quoted why judiciary should be given precedence. What is the middle ground? The middle ground is constitutionalism, where each sphere of power, that is executive, judiciary and legislature, they are bound by their own functions and duties, and they do not and they are not in conflict with each other. Therefore, and she has also cited recent examples of NJAC, say about judicial activism, and how in Britain also in fundamental rights, etc. How fundamental rights, repeated interpretation of fundamental rights in case of government excesses, or how Parliament has also tried to curb the influence of the judiciary, or restrict the role of the judiciary in getting good developmental work done. So therefore, finally, she has also come to the point where it is about separation of powers, each one respecting the other spheres, not interfering in it, and even if interfering, going for the common good and public service of the people. This is a typical way in which GS2 paper's answer needs to be written, and she has done it beautifully. So friends, I have discussed all the relevant examples and all the relevant questions relating to GS question and answers. Again, I would request you to follow these procedures, see toppers' answers. This is what I did in my in my last attempt, where I had to score very good because I had got 413 rank, then I got 9th rank. I went through all the toppers' answers, and let us not have that diffidence or that ego that no, we have written the best answers, somehow luck has not given us those marks. No. If you have not got marks, there has to be a reason. Let us accept that. Let us download toppers' answers from websites of the institutes, etc. See them, see where they have written better, where we could have done much better. And obviously, once we destroy that ego, have this courage to look at toppers' answers. I know it feels bad for people who have not, who have put in all their effort. I understand that you have put in all your effort and you have not got probably the rank you deserve, or probably you've been out of the merit list. But let us introspect. If we are interested, we can give it another chance. And UPSC, I just follow one maxim about UPSC: some goals are so worthy, it's glorious to fail. So even if we are putting another effort, let us look within, introspect, see where we have gone wrong, improve on these answers. I'd request you to download these answers, see what answers you have written, what answers these toppers have written, how different they are, and finally, and obviously we do good and do well. So all the best of luck. Thank you.